you and your higher being the same being. Part of you is older than the other. Just like father and child are part of the same family bloodline, but one is older than the other. It's also like how the leaves on a tree are from the tree, but the trunk of the tree is older than the branch that's holding the twig, that's holding the leaf. And the leaf is also not the tree, but yet it is from the tree. And because it is from the tree, it is part of the tree, always, but individual, always, simultaneously. That's oneness. What is quantum-ness? Non-physical energy. So what is quantum-ness as compared to oneness? Oneness could not be oneness if not for its quantumness within. When you have purity, you have the basis or the essence of quantumness because you have the capability for thought that is pure. When you have the capability of thought that is pure, then you have quantum energy. And you can use that quantumness for anything. You can create anything with it. You can think with it. You can draw with it. You can sing with it. You can share with it. You can speak with it. We are quantum beings, all of us. Not just us, the group of beings that have adopted the name of teachers. We are not quantum-ness. We sprang from quantum-ness. And then we grew up, and now we're doing what we do. And we have oneness with the being that found preference for expansion. Expansion of itself. Because that being decided that it found preference for doing more things. And in order to do more things, it had to expand its oneness. And when it expanded its oneness, we were born individually, you and I. And I and I and I for all those that are in the room. And so the tree is a beautiful analogy because the tree continues to grow. More nubs turn into twigs that turn into branches. And as the twig grows, you'll notice a little nub. But the branches grow more twigs. But those twigs are nubs first. So look closely at a tree and you will know oneness. Because every little nub is the beginning of a twig that grows into a branch. But the twig can have a nub as well as the branch, because every part of oneness can expand by way of quantumness. Quantumness is purity of emotion. Our DNA is love. Only, just love. It is just one singular, perfect emotion. And that goes for all non-physical life, conscious reality, life outside the dome, life outside the pocket dimension that you are infusing intuition in. Everything where we are stems with energy, and the intelligence that is within the energy vibrates. I am perfect, and I am ready to be used for anything and everything. But we don't have negative emotions, so we don't create things that break. And we don't create things that are boring. And we don't create things that need healing. But we do create. And then sometimes we uncreate. So you whittle things together and then you whittle them apart. And then you would just have fun. It's like taking some blocks and you build a little model. And you knock it down. And you build it and you knock it. It's like that. Quantum-ness is non-physical energy in general. And so non-physical energy being quantum energy, quantum-ness, it's all the same thing. There is quantum-ness in the grid. The grid is your non-physical body that is inside your personal energy field that is overlaid on top of your physical body. Now that grid is only used when you're in the physical world doing incarnation. And so the grid is not a body with flesh, bones, and blood, and everything else that goes with it. It is hollow. It is a filing cabinet or a pantry for all your memory, filed extraordinarily neatly. And in the grid is every emotion that you have experienced as your physical person, and every emotion that you did not know was in your environment. It all goes into the grid. And so the grid is a housing mechanism of every experience that your non-physical mind has ever had and will ever have for your entire lifespan. Just your lifespan. And then it floats on back to the non-physical world, and you take a look at it, you see what the patterns were, and then you have the conversation that we had in the beginning about figuring out how you're going to cheat. And infuse this, so you don't leave law of attraction for too much chance. And you decide what your must-haves are and what your mights are, and what your hope and law of attraction will bring to you. And so in the grid are your memories, along with your own personal quantumness of energy. That quantumness identifies who you are as the leaf on a tree. And so when we talk about your higher being would be the trunk of the tree. And your higher being would be a nice heavy branch. And then you're something that's coming off the branch. So the higher being is helping you stay in the world. The higher being, trunk of the tree, is available to talk to you anytime you want, through a medium or when your abilities are roots. Because they're still in a non-physical place, fully enabled and also doing some things for you. And so you always have oneness with your next higher up branch, but also to the trunk of the tree. Every branch on the tree has access to the trunk. Every leaf, every nub has access to the trunk. And if you have access to the trunk, then you have access to the whole gosh darn tree and everything that everybody is doing. And that's oneness for your being and who you came from. And so it's like a tree that grows a tree on this side and a tree up that 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 side and a tree on that side and a tree on that side, because every nub becomes a twig that becomes a branch that becomes the trunk of what will be another tree. And so we just keep sprouting and sprouting and sprouting and sprouting. And so on it goes and on it goes and on it goes and on it goes and on it goes. It's like Legoland. They just keep connecting. We keep connecting, and we keep growing. And every quantum thought is used for something. And if it's used to create a strand of life energy, well, that's the nub. And so we create and we create and we create and we create using quantum energy, using quantum-ness. We might create a dinner table or a potted plant. But if we create a life, a strand that will become another living, thinking, doing component of non-physical life, well, then that becomes a nub and it's infused with other intelligence factors, which are the aspects. And you have lots of aspects in the oneness of your personal tree, which you are a part of. Maybe you're the trunk for a whole nother tree. So it goes on and on and on. And so we love that. We love that. And so the pantry and the grid go together, and quantumness and oneness go together. But you couldn't have the pantry and the grid if you didn't have a certain depth of development of the oneness of who you personally are being. And so the spiritual teaching of I and the Father are one, absolutely. The pantry and the grid are that. And pantry and the grid and what you manifest with, same thing. I and the Father are one. What I have in the grid and what I have to manifest with, it's one. It's one for one. It's a one for one. It's a one for one. And so you can look at it from multiple different perspectives. That's what sometimes we just sit and we just think about different ways to describe things and how to explain things and how to make things and then how to share it and then how to teach it and then how to sit and have a conversation with other people who have done the same thing. And maybe their creative genius, we all came to the same end, but we created different lines of thought on the way. And so we just sit at the end and we just say, hey, so we all did this project together. What'd you come up with? Oh, that's far different than me. What'd you come up with? I was on the same line of track. I was on the same line of tried to do a little bit kind of like that, but then I went over here. I was going back and forth. I found that my preference was both. And so I blended them together. Look what I did. Yeah, what do you think? Well, we never say, what do you think over here? We just share what we found preference for. And if we don't yet find that preference, we say, well, this is where I am. And this is what my thoughts are. Has anybody else had the same thought process? If so, is it your preference to join together? Because I feel within me that there's a partner in my very near future to work with. I know within me that there is a partner that I'm going to do some of this expansion work with. It's you? You feel it in you? Let me check. It is you. But I also feel that there's something else here. Maybe it's a group. How do you feel? On your perspective, is the preference that we work together, or are you're feeling it's a group too? We're forming an entity. Let's begin. And that's how an entity grows. And so that's a lot of pillar one, but it's fun. And you can't teach pillar one without analogies. So you're not a pantry. The grid is. And you can clean out the pantry. But to do that, you have to clear negative emotion. And you don't know how to clear negative emotion. You only know how to collect it because you do not have the aspect with you that can push energy out, specific energy out. And so you collect it, your non-physical team helps you get rid of it.